Irish Guy, and the opening weekend of our Premier League season reveals so much to everyone. We get to see new tactics, new ideas, there's clues into the future of certain players. So today I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find one secret about every team that was revealed to us all in game week 1. And yeah, one of those was that Jamie Vardy can still score goals. Yeah. Bucket of ice cream coming tomorrow. Right, let's go. Arsenal. Partey is an important player. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I think it is wild how at the end of last season, everyone, and I mean everyone, had decided that Thomas Partey was definitely quitting Arsenal. I mean, for a fan channel who literally did a street dance when he first joined Atletico Madrid, the fact that they then chucked this into a thumbnail saying, Partey to leave, breaking news. Breaking news. Right, it's 3 months later, and this bloke just delivered a man of the match midfield display anchoring the midfield against Wolves. I'm sorry, breaking news? I'll be honest, because of this thumbnail and many of the articles indicating that this man was definitely escaping to the Saudi Pro League, I assumed that, yeah, this man was the next Gini Wijnaldum, that he would spend this summer collecting his £500,000 a week paycheck whilst embarking on a new pre-season where he has to kick Camel Sick off the penalty spot. In my mind, this man was completely done as an Arsenal midfielder. I mean, once Declan Rice arrived over £100 million a year ago, this man was waiting the start of last season playing right back. If you had told me that a whole year later, he would be playing at the base midfield as a number 6, I would have thought there was more chance of me having my armpit kissed by the Incredible Hulk. Aston Villa. Duran is not being sold. Okay, John Duran cannot leave Aston Villa this summer. Not now. Surely he can't, because after possibly aggressively, publicly begging for a move to West Ham, even flexing the Irons pose on Instagram. By the way, how did JD think that was going to go well for him? The only way he could have made it more obvious that he wanted the future at West Ham would be if he'd gone bowling with Mark Noble and punched a Millwall fan outside of Costa Coffee. But he scored the winner at West Ham's ground this season, and to show his commitment to Villa, he ran to the away fans and reassured them by pointing at the floor, saying, I'm staying. Clearly Duran has got meatball for brains. Because think about it, John. If this was at Villa Park, then the celebration would make sense. But trying to reassure the Villa fans that you don't want to be at West Ham by saying, I'm staying, and pointing to the West Ham turf? Do you see how you're making all this worse? You're basically accidentally saying that West Ham Stadium is your home. Oh, JD, you silly, silly puppy. But listen, after having an army of angry 10-year-olds telling him that he's a snake on Instagram, I think he actually feels bad now, and he's actually too scared to demand a transfer request. So yeah, I think after all the huge speculation linking him with a move to either Chelsea or West Ham, I believe him. I reckon he's planning to stay until January at least. Bournemouth, they'll be fine without Solanke. Yeah, for anyone who thought that the sky would fall in at Bournemouth once they sold Dominic Solanke to Spurs, stop worrying, Bournemouth fans, because you were at Nottingham Forest away, and Antoine Semenyo was chucked up front, and he scored with a poacher's finish inside the box. Shocking the fact that they just spent nearly 50 million euros on Porto's Evan Nielsen, a Brazil international striker who scored 25 goals last campaign, then yeah, you're gonna be absolutely fine. Brentford, they want to sell Tony. The cat is out of the bag, Brentford. You want Ivan Toney sold. We should have known this when Thomas Frank was telling the press last season.
Yeah, we're totally gutted, but we have to accept that our star player is leaving us.
Yeah. Tony is off this month because the Brentford chairman wants that dough. I think it's clear by now that the hierarchy at the small London club are severely annoyed by Tony. Lads, inside the last 2 years, this man has had to apologize for being caught on social media literally slagging off the club twice. Chucking the fact that he then gets banned from football for 9 months and has refused to sign a new contract, the Brentford board want him gone now. I think these Brentford suits would sooner chew the head off a Teletubby than let him walk away for free next summer. So that is why Frank was clearly instructed to omit Tony from his opening matchday squad. Reports have indicated that Tony, he wanted to play against Crystal Palace, but no. Brentford clearly wanted to shake down Saudi club Al Ahly for a fat paycheck after ejecting £35 million last week. If they were adamant that they were keeping him, then he would have obviously played on Sunday, especially considering that his replacement, Igor Thiago, is hobbling around on crutches. Brentford are scared that an injury might have ruined this big money Al Ahly move. Sorry lads, but they are wanting £50 million this month. Brighton, Herzler is not another De Boer. Look, I'm not saying that child coach Fabian Herzler is going to be a roaring success, no, but I think it's clear now that he's not going to go to his grave having been the worst Premier League coach of all time. I know Brighton are the hipster club anyway, but I thought that hiring a 31-year-old boss from St. Pauli, someone with extremely wild tactics, I think that might just have dramatically blown up in their face. A bit like Everton Crystal Palace went hipster and dragged in a young Frank de Boer. Lads, go back to 2017 and like Hursuler, people were tipping de Boer to do huge things at Palace, that he would turn them into a possession-based, thrive-ball, Brazil-flavoured team at Sellers Park. I know the lads of Football Daily would have championed him. People were expecting de Boer to be a wizard and that he would win his first game in charge by 6-0 against newly promoted Huddersfield. They lost 3-0 and he was sacked within a month, having failed to oversee a single goal. So yeah, considering Hursuler, someone young enough to be Sean Dyche's son, and if he's anything like me, was still pooing the bed in 2004, considering he just ate Everton with a spoon in absolutely sparkling fashion, then yeah, he's not some failed Frankenstein experiment after all. Chelsea, dressing room is toxic. Now this didn't take a genius. Chelsea losing to Manchester City was obviously expected, but for Raheem Sterling to release a statement squealing about seeking clarity over his future just because he was omitted from the squad, lads, in this squad are other children. This is a 29-year-old who's supposed to be one of the mature leaders of the squad. If any Chelsea player was going to do this, I would have expected it from Romelu Lukaku, someone who, yes, is still a Chelsea employee on paper, earning a sickening £325,000 a week, just like Sterling, by the way. Well, come on, Lukaku is as much a Chelsea player as I am a Mongolian monkey. But for Sterling, someone who gets paid nearly £17 million a year, for him to release that statement within 10 minutes of the first opening match, just because he wasn't in the squad, this is an ugly, selfish way for Chelsea to start the season. A bit like when Mourinho screamed at the Chelsea physio in the first game against Swansea 9 years ago. Right now, Chelsea is a toxic place to be. I mean, there's so many players registered at that club. The training ground must look like a Where's Wally Maze. Poor old João Felix. He will be performing his initiation song to more people than would be at a JLS concert. Crystal Palace, Mark Gay is distracted. Lads, Mark Gay was heaped with praise by the Sky Sports commentators after shrugging off huge transfer talk to lead Crystal Palace out against Brentford on Sunday afternoon. Oh, this was a consummate professional who was not going to allow himself to be distracted by a move to Newcastle, right? Wrong, because Gay was uncharacteristically poor. He had a hard afternoon against a Tony-less Brentford. Clearly because he's now secretly, deep inside his soul, unmotivated to play for Crystal Palace anymore, as this guy would probably eat a puppy sandwich to push through a £70 million move to St James's Park. Everton, young is a liability. Why? Why is Sean Dyche continuing to pick a right back who is literally celebrating his 40th birthday party next summer? If you told me a few years ago that Seamus Coleman would soon struggle to get into the Toffee side, I would have thought, okay, makes sense. Clearly Everton want to pick a young full-back. Yeah, they do want to pick a young full-back, but it's someone who's 4 years older than him. Ashley Young has had a great career, but why am I watching someone who was once an electric left winger now being regularly outpaced whilst trying to be a nearly 40-year-old right back? He's just going to eat more red cards as if they're complimentary croissants at brunch. Fulham, Rodrigo Muniz is one season wonder. Yeah, Rodrigo Muniz is the latest one season wonder, and that was proven by his limp, feeble shadow of a performance at Old Trafford, where he showed the goal-scoring instincts of a fat porcupine. Look, he had an incredible second half of last season, with the Brazilian bagging in 9 Premier League goals, but I'm sorry, that version of him at Old Trafford on Friday night is proof to me that he's now just some weak, fragile teddy bear, just like the one who stunk up the place at Middlesbrough. Ipswich Town, nobody trusts Calvin Phillips. On a day where Ipswich Town handed debuts to summer signings like Jacob Greaves and Liam Delap, even Sammy Schmoddix crawled onto the pitch, and he'd only joined from Blackburn 14 hours before the match. But Calvin Phillips, the only England international in the squad, having joined on loan from Man City a few days earlier, not only did he not start the match against Liverpool, but he didn't even come on as a sub. Why? This is the most high-profile, biggest name in the Ipswich squad by a mile. He's arguably the biggest name this club has had since they randomly loaned in that mini Ronaldinho Giovanni Dos Santos from Spurs 15 years ago. I don't get it. Why didn't Kieran McKenna even give him 10 minutes on the pitch? The answer is obvious. Because his career has been in freefall to such a point where he was a West Ham liability joke last season, then it's obvious right now. Not even McKenna truly trusts him yet. Ouch. Leicester City, Jamie Vardy. Just Jamie Vardy. Play the clip.
At the minute, there is a complete lack of goals. Lads, Jamie Vardy turns 38 years old this season. I mean, for every Premier League goal he scores this campaign, I will dunk a bucket of ice cream over my face.
Yeah. Tune in tomorrow, lads. I'm getting the bucket of ice cream ready. Liverpool, Slot is ruthless. What we learned from Liverpool this weekend is that Arne Slot is a ruthless manager. People have been comparing this bloke to being Liverpool's answer to David Moyes after their legendary boss left. Yeah, I don't remember grumpy old weedy Moyes stamping his authority on the team early doors, but Slot, no, the fact is that he has admitted that he openly told his players off after that first half against Ipswich, telling them it was not good enough. And to prove it, he ripped Jarrell Kwanzaa off the pitch at half-time, replacing him with Ibrahim Kanate in defence. You know what a bold call that is? The first game of the season, and you are basically admitting halfway through the match that you got the team selection wrong. He realized that Liam Delap was bullying Kwanzaa as if he was some weedy comic book nerd with a tattoo of Wonder Woman on his neck. And so he brings in Kanati instead, and the Reds level so dramatically improved in the second half that, yeah, this was an example of a newbie boss choosing not to play it safe and trying to pander to his star players. Oh no, he clearly got them told. Man City, Jeremy Doku is still frustrating. Here's my prediction. This will be Jeremy Doku's final season at Manchester City. Because I'm sorry, Pep Guardiola is somebody who binned off Leroy Sané because he was so unpredictable to coach. So what chance does Jeremy Doku have when he is the end product of soggy porridge? This 22-year-old Belgian winger has all the ability in the world. One of the finest dribblers on the planet. But I thought, like so many Man City recruits, that his second season would be the one where it finally clicks. But now, yet again, his performance at Stamford Bridge, his end product was garbage. Sorry lads, but after a 3-goal debut Premier League season, the penny still has not dropped. His decision making makes me think, why on earth does Pep keep picking him? Man United, Rashford is still poor. Lads, if you thought Marcus Rashford was going to be a man reborn after his England Euro 2024 snub and would return refreshed, rejuvenated, fit, Manchester United forward, hungry, 4 goals and would soon be challenging for the Golden Boot again, I would not have laughed at you, because this is what Rashford does. In 2021, he had a very good 21-goal season. Then the following campaign, under Solskjaer and Rangnick, he scores a pathetic 5, but then he follows it up with a 30-goal season in Ten Hag's debut campaign. And then last season, it was back to being a pretty horrid 8. He's due another monster season, right? But nah. He was poor in the Community Shield, shinning an easy chance against Man City under the post, and again against Fulham at home in the Premier League's curtain-raising match. He once again looked like a slumped, disinterested bag of potatoes, showing absolutely no goal threat at all. Newcastle, Kieran Trippier is finished. Yeah, what was the Newcastle Southampton game might have told us all that Ben Brereton Diaz is clearly a shameless flea bag. What this weekend has also confirmed is that Kieran Trippier is no longer a first-team footballer for Newcastle, because not only did ex-Southampton right-back Tino Livramento start the game against his former club, banishing Trippier to the bench, but Newcastle have announced that Bruno Guimaraes will be team captain on the pitch. Bear in mind, everyone has forgotten that Newcastle's club captain is still Jamal Lascelles, taking his official captaincy at the club to 8 years. Jamal Lascelles has been captain of Newcastle United longer than Shearer was. What? Well, for the last couple of seasons, Trippier has been the on-pitch team captain. But for Newcastle to now change that to Bruno, chucking the fact that Trippier just lined out for Newcastle's under-21s against Sunderland, despite being a nearly 40-year-old man? Come on, the bloke is done. Nottingham Forest haven't given up on Sangare. Lads, if there's one Premier League club you do not want to fail at in your debut season, it is the unforgiving Nottingham Forest. Because that club have been shameless shopaholics for years now, they don't have time or patience for struggling signings who don't hit the ground running. Oh no, you're very quickly getting sold and replaced. So after a very ordinary debut season at Forest, after a £30 million move from PSV, I thought the Ivorian midfielder Ibrahim Sangare was now forever just going to be known as the Forest flop, who had barely featured this season. But no, he just delivered an all-action man-on-the-match performance against Bournemouth at home. He's once again looking like the player who had Europe's elite club scouting him while in Holland. Yeah, keep an eye on him this season. Southampton or Swansea. Okay, Southampton might officially play with the Saints crest on their shirt, but I'm sorry, this is just Swansea in disguise. Watching Southampton wolf down possession at St James's Park with 78% possession and an 89% passing accuracy against 10-man Newcastle, that just screamed of what Swansea used to be in this league. And it makes sense because they've gone and dipped into Swansea's DNA by hiring the manager Russell Martin a year ago. But what we're watching, this is not the Southampton we all remember before they were relegated. No, this is a team that clings onto the ball. They love possession, so at the very least, there's going to be no more 9-0s. Tottenham, Solanke is not the answer. Okay, it's stupid to write off a player after their debut, but I just don't think Dominic Solanke is that guy for Spurs. This is someone who, yeah, he's off the back of a superstar season for Bournemouth. But don't forget, before Andoni Iraola arrived last summer, this is a striker who had scored just 10 goals in 96 Premier League matches. Yeah, last season completely flipped his career on its head. But before Iraola came, this man was about as prolific as a dead daffodil. And watching this £65 million striker struggle to really establish himself against Leicester on Monday night, is this Solanke or Soldado? West Ham, Lopetegui is giving his squad a chance. Fair play to Julian Lopetegui. Yes, this is a man who turned up at West Ham and has sent the existing players a very harsh message by virtually signing a whole new team. But this former Wolves manager could have ruthlessly sprinkled his new recruits all over the starting 11 for that opening match against Aston Villa. But to his credit, he left most of his new signings on the bench. The only two summer recruits that actually started the match were centre-back Max Kilman and midfielder Guido Rodriguez. So fair play. Lopetegui is actually showing respect to the players that were already there. Wolves, Jursa Mosquera is weird. He's a strange individual. Anyway, that's it. What do you? Let me know. Ice cream coming tomorrow. Won't that be fun? No. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to get a like, share, because as always, I'll talk to you in a while.